Hello everyone, and I'm back, and we have some exciting news for today. We have decided a theme. But before we get to that, I just want to sincerely thank everybody for the positive comments, the words of inspiration. It was so heartwarming to hear some stories about how I apparently inspired you guys to get into composition. It's honestly, it feels so. I so appreciate being able to do that for people. And the other thing is, I haven't written a song in 4 years, and this is a little nerve-wracking for me, and especially being in front of a camera and stuff. And all the support that you guys have given me really makes it so, I think this might be a really great experience for all of us. So, when looking over all the comments and all the ideas and stuff like that, there's something that I started seeing this pattern over and over again. And there's a couple of you that just kind of mentioned, this idea of dark and light, and something that's, really sad, and then something that's happy, this duality. So I thought, well, what about this? What if the theme is opposites, right? Now, the cool thing about opposites, first of all, it's really challenging because, I'm going, could be doing things that are really quiet to really loud, things that are, very high pitched and very low pitched. Well, it's very challenging to intermix these things. But what else is great is that all these other ideas will also fit inside this kind of theme. So the idea is to kind of create two entities in this music. Maybe they start out, one's, plays one, and then it plays the other, plays one. And then maybe, if we can, we'll see, we can kind of intermingle them at the end. And almost kind of like a yin-yang symbol coming together. So now that we have our overall theme, we need to kind of brainstorm and figure out how can we create some instruments, what instruments do we use, are there any other ideas that we can layer on top. So for that, I'm going to grab Maggie, and we're going to go out to the greenhouse and do some brainstorming. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, you can go.
Hi, here we are. We're out in the greenhouse to do some brainstorming.
Now, the reason why I brought you up here to the greenhouse is because I always like to tell people that nature is one of the best places for ideas. It's great to listen to other people's music and stuff like that, but if you start listening to their music too much, you're going to start sounding like them. If you want to be unique, look at nature around you, look at insects, look at the environment, outer space, other people's art.
Roller skating.
Roller skating, we did that last night. Because if you really want to create a unique voice, it's not going to come from listening to other people's music.
It's great to listen to other people's
Absolutely.
music. We love music, but when it's the only source for your own music, you might start sounding like someone else.
For sure. Now, so we have this topic, this overarching theme, this kind of yin-yang, opposites kind of theme. And then we have all these other little ideas that were suggested by people. And so now what can we do with this? So, I don't know.
Well, I made a list based on a lot of the suggestions you folks have made, which were awesome, by the way. There were a lot of repeats, but starting from the top, one of the ideas we saw was bells. The idea of using anything that's hollow and resonates when it's whacked sounds super exciting. It sounds like it's going to be messy, and it sounds like you better hide our good glasses.
What I do like about bells is you got this pure tone usually. Like they usually sound off a note. But the opposite of notes, of pure notes, is noise, is that clanging sound of metal. Now, I'm pretty sure you have some other metal sitting around.
Sure, I've got a big tub of rusty metal. I collect rusty metal. I collect a lot of things, but rusty metal's awesome because it makes a real thunking sound. It's not like when you use polished metal to whack something. It makes a sort of you'll hear, I'll show you. It makes a really cool sound.
Yeah, so that would be a great kind of example of you have these pure kind of notes and these very just noisy, clanging sounds. If you think about opposites, when writing this, we can have like brass to me, especially lower brass. I saw a lot of comments about tuba, which, by the way, is the instrument that I played in high school. The other thing that really kind of stood out, this one idea really was the balloon idea. Now, how do we get this in there? I think there's we have this hard metal kind of feel, but we can also have like this sense of like soft thing. So a balloon is kind of soft, but it's also, you can make it squeak.
Mm-hmm.
You could do helium sounds.
You could do sounds like this.
Yeah, you could do that kind of sound. But even bouncing, I wonder if you can kind of get a tone out of them depending how big you blow them. Maybe thumping them would change. I don't know.
Oh, I never thought about that. What if you put water in them?
I don't know. That might be kind of splattery. Or bursting water balloons.
Yeah.
Those would be fun samples. This sounds
The
like
idea of tuning balloons sounds fun.
Well, you think about, I also thought rubber bands too, but a balloon is kind of similar where you can kind of like stretch it and pluck it like a guitar.
Oh, what a cool idea that is.
That might be fun.
Yeah. What else is there? The mountaintop, somebody said.
Yes.
Like the idea of yodeling.
Yes.
Yodeling.
And to me, you know, that works really well with this sense of, you know, like very high, you know, and that can be like the woodwinds, the air, and
what do you call those great big huge horns that they blow in the mountains?
Okay.
An alpine horn, maybe.
Yeah. So, but we can have something that's very high, you know, feeling. But then we can also have something. I think somebody else said something about caves and things like that. And so that's
reverberation.
A lot of reverberation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's echoes in the mountains too. I mean, the other thing that came up quite a bit, bizarrely, it's not an instrument that you hear of too much, but I think we can put it in is the jaw harp. Maggie, maybe you can demonstrate the jaw harp.
This is terrifying to the teeth.
Yeah. So I can do better than that, but we could sample that, pitch shift it, and we can do some really fun things there.
And kazoos.
And kazoos came up a lot. We have kazoos. You know, so surprisingly, the kazoo is I don't know. There's something about it just adds a lot of character, and it's so simple.
And the mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise. We gotta have mayonnaise. Some slopping.
Here, I'll show you what will go with the mayonnaise.
Okay. Oh, here. He's got
I did a dollar store trip yesterday, and I found this.
Yeah. Record that and see how that.
I thought this would be the coolest thing if I could drop this in a pail of mayonnaise. I'm not going to drop it in here because I don't want to drop it on the laptop.
Did you get a big vat of mayonnaise from Costco too?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
I will. We're just thinking about this right now, so a vat of mayonnaise is going to have to happen.
Yeah. This sounds horribly messy. I do remember a couple people, and a surprising amount of people, talked about time signatures. Now, time signatures, I do love playing around with odd time signatures, but the one thing about odd time signatures, it makes you feel like they're kind of jagged. They're kind of like there's this missing a beat, which really gives them a lot of character. And I kind of feel like if we got, you know, this kind of darker side to have like this weird time signature versus this you know, more 4/4, 12/8, you know, 3/4.
But they do come together in fighting time. You know, if you mix together, say 3/4 time signature with a 5/4 time signature.
That would be hard.
We could do it.
You
could do it.
I'm
saying we as in Dave can do that.
Yeah. So that's, I think, a great way to have this opposites too. There's this very odd, peculiar time signature versus a very common, very comforting time signature. Same with key signatures. I mean, you have these major keys. And quite a few people mentioned minor keys, specifically melodic and harmonic minors, which I just love. They are the ones that just sound a little creepy. They have so much character, and I think there's another thing we can do.
Somebody mentioned using Middle Eastern type scales, which I thought was interesting.
Yes,
and you said that you think that they use quarter notes instead of quarter tones instead of half tones.
Yes. Well, we use half tones. Quarter tones are actually semitones. Sorry, and they, I believe, they have this extra note in between, which just sounds really, really hard to me.
I feel like all the ideas that people have come up with has just given me so much inspiration for sounds to try. So I'll create a buffet of sounds for you.
It's really great to have this, you know, huge selection of sound effects. So when I get down there, I don't have to stop and get out of the moment. When it just be like, that mayonnaise sound, let's bring that up, and boom, I have access to it right away. I don't like to be over prepared, but I do. And some of these sound effects, maybe they're just not going to work, right? But to have them all ready for when we start getting into it, will be key. So I think the next step is really making a lot of these sound effects. And maybe, while you're doing that, maybe I'll sneak off and start thinking about, the tempo, the underlying
Are you thinking
kind
of
chord
upbeat
structure.
or scary music
think
or dance music?
I think it's
or...
going to be a bit of both, right? I think we're going to have, maybe something that's a little darker, some jazzy, weird time signature. And then the other thing is epic. I heard epic there. So maybe that's kind of this big low brass epic kind of feel, this lumbering thing.
The wheels have been turning.
Compared to this, very light kind of melody, and maybe you mash them together. Maybe they throw things around.
Do you have a melody in your head yet?
No, I
Okay.
generally don't. The melodies tend to come a little later. I think structure usually comes first. There are, on rare occasion, melodies or lyrics will come first. And this is the way that I do it. But I tend to start with a little structure. So
That reminds me, when you are creating art, you'll find so many people believe that their way is the way and the right way, and that's simply not true in my opinion.
Yeah.
I believe, and I know Dave thinks
Absolutely.
the same way, is that in creating any form of art, the way that works best for you is the right way for you, and that other people will have their best way, and that's their best way.
And if you change the process, you'll change the outcome. So if you really want to sound unique, do it a completely different way. Start with the lyrics. Start with, a poem and try to make a song out of it. So we're going to start laying down some soundtracks and everything, some samples, making some sound effects and stuff like that. And if anybody has any other ideas, please throw them into the comments, especially if they have to do with opposites. Because we're still in this very preliminary stages. There's lots of room for new ideas, and we can just take a turn here and there.
Totally open to things that are messy as far as sound effects go too.
Yes,
If it
yes.
involves smashing or splashing,
Yeah,
we're down.
yeah.
You
Right?
just made me think,
Yes.
recording the sound of a broom sweeping on the floor.
Sweeping on the floor after the
Yeah.
shattered glass. There you go. Perfect thing to end
Sweeping
it on.
up shattered glass. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, people.
Thanks for coming by.
So, as you can see, we've got a ton of work to do. Making some samples, making our buffet of sounds and everything. In the meantime, I'd really appreciate any more ideas, any more comments that have to do with dualities and opposites. Because, it's not too late to get those things in there. And next time, we will start having a little more interesting things to see. Maggie's going to smash stuff and make some messes, I'm sure. And we're just going to start laying the foundations for our song. So you haven't really heard anything yet. I understand you see all this gear sitting here. But pretty soon, you're going to start actually seeing some results. But we have to lay those foundations first. Otherwise, you're going to end up, constantly changing your mind and never actually moving forward. So please, get more subscribers. The more we can do, the better. And once we get some polls up and going, then we can really just ask you guys, maybe we put 3 different sounds and say, hey, which ones do you want to get in? And please leave more feedback, any questions that you might have for us. And hopefully, not too long, maybe a couple days, we'll have to see. We'll be back with some sound effects to show you guys. See you later.